We did a video that just went wild. I think it's the biggest view-getting video we've ever done about how a stick like this or anything near like this, called the tick stick, can solve complex layout problems that nothing else can. Except some of you said, bogus. This material right here, or something like it, door skin pieces, or pieces of paper and masking tape, can solve the same problems faster, more accurately, more professionally, and if I tried it with something like this, I'd be fired. Well, let's revisit that and talk about a couple of things that I think some of you missed, and some of the things that I've learned from the comments about how a tick stick really is wonderful in a particular situation that maybe some of you didn't think about before you posted your comment. So to the comments and my criticism of maybe you should have waited before you posted, maybe I should have done a better job of setting up the problem I was solving. Because a lot of you said, hey Scott, you could take popsicle sticks or pieces of door skin or any other, wooden strips and hot glue them together in order to create the shape. Like this. And you know what? You're right. Granite countertop guys, floor tile guys, linoleum guys, fill in the blank. That is a good way to do it. It takes a little time, but it works great. Some of you said, hey, I do the same thing, and if I took the time that would have taken, I would be fired. You can do it with paper and tape. You know what? You're right. You can take little bits of cardstock of any kind, couple it with cardboard, and you can do it. And it takes a while. Probably half a dozen of you said you could 3D print that, you can model that with some sort of a laser scanner or take a picture with your phone and digitize it, and yes, maybe, but we don't all have that. And to do that means that you go to the site, you do your digital magic, and then you go back to your CNC cutter or whatever it is to create the initial test piece, and then bring it back and fit. So for that combination of reasons, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut the back out. Because on a two-dimensional shape, yes, use paper, use door skins, whatever you want, use a tick stick. But when you're in the middle of space, when you're in the hull of a boat, when you're in a fireplace opening, when you are in an impossible situation where you don't have the substrate, let me show you how a tick stick makes the difference. So I could do this with a jigsaw, but it would take pretty much until sunset. So I like to put a skill saw to work whenever I can. And now the jigsaw. But we're not there yet. So this is a scenario that I should have described better in the video. You have an opening. There's no back. You're not on the floor. You're not on a countertop. You are in three-dimensional, poorly defined space. It gets really hard to do this, okay? It gets really hard to do this. All of these things get trickier. And yes, the tick stick needs some support back here, but not as much as you would need if you were needing to do it with cardstock or door skins, like this. So what I've done here is just I've rigged up on the bench a platform to support my storyboard. And that's what I did on that fireplace project too. I don't remember exactly how. I think I had a chunk of a glue lam beam that I set in there and screwed a piece of plywood. I don't know. You got to put something back there, but with a tick stick, it doesn't have to be much. Just enough to take your wiggle stick, your tick stick, and let me just throw this out. One of the questions that came up was, how do you know what angle? The angle doesn't make any difference at all. This stick can be anywhere as long as it holds steady. And by the way, one guy said, I drill holes in there to put a scratch-all point in. That's a great idea. But the angle doesn't matter. One. This one, I can come down, I can cross the other one, I can come up like this. The angle is irrelevant. But I have to say, it's a good question. But you see now that a tick stick becomes irreplaceable in a three-dimensional and poorly defined space. You don't have anything to work on. So you create just a little bit of a surface to work on. 2, 3, right on around until your storyboard looks something like that. So we went into detail on this in that other video, and what I'm doing now is just revisiting some of the questions. Because if I didn't mention it already, I'll mention it now. The questions are the gold mine on this channel. There are so many brilliant people. I sometimes wonder why they watch my channel, but they come with suggestions and objections. I have learned from the criticism. The one that comes to my mind was when I was tying down my excavator on the trailer. The difference between rigging chains and tow chains and man, you guys took me to task. Don't tie there. That will get you a ticket. One chain can't hold. All of those questions and comments and criticisms were spot on. I do it better now. There was another video about I was doing cheek cuts on hip and valley jacks wrong. Not terribly wrong, but wrong enough. You took me to school. Thank you. But I'm telling you this. The objections to the tick stick, when they are objections based on a two-dimensional shape instead of a three-dimensional shape, are not valid, boys. So a few really legitimate questions. Like I just pointed out, the angle is completely immaterial. Once you get to that intersection right there, that stick can go any place. Same around this, it doesn't matter. The only consideration is to try to minimize the overlap so you can read the placement when you're trying to recreate the shape. Which brings us to the next question. Why that shape? How can I get a copy of that shape? It doesn't have to be that shape. It just has to be some shape that is easily identifiable and easily duplicated. There has to be enough specificity in the shape that it can only go into one place. Two other questions were consistent. Do I have to face it this way or this way? Does it make any difference? And the answer is no. The only difference it makes is whatever is easiest for recreating the placement. If after a while there are so many with the scallops to the right, then perhaps coming around the circumference, you would place the scallops to the left. It's just a judgment call. It's neither right nor wrong. And then the last one is, what if you used a different color pencil? Yes, you could. As a general rule, colors on blueprints marking different footings in different colors and different shear wall insignia in different colors, it's just a moneymaker. It saves you time and it snaps more information into focus. Maybe that would be the same. It just seems to me, at least on something this size, that it would be one more move that probably wouldn't pick up any time. But there was one suggestion that I'm going to take to the bank, and that is, a couple of you said, what if you drilled holes and put brad nails through there that could slip, that when you get in position, you press the brad nail in, and then coming back with a storyboard, you just, yes. I think the best suggestion relative to this was this. 1/8 inch hole. The commenter said 3 millimeter. Anywhere. Roughly square. There's one. Let's put another one up. Oh, maybe there. Okay, so I think the comment about 2 scratch-alls is perfect if you're working on a horizontal substrate. I think 1 scratch-all is pretty good when you're working on a poorly defined vertical space like this. I think it helps, and it will certainly help reestablish the location on your storyboard. So yeah, 1 or 2, whatever you can juggle, but the hole has to accommodate the scratch-all, and so excellent comment. And then there was one more that was so insightful, and he absolutely solved one of the problems that I had on the camera that I was floundering with and caused some inaccuracy, and it's this. The demonstration on the first video was to take the storyboard that has been created, put it on the substrate of the piece that you want to cut to fit, or maybe a tri-piece, just to make sure, reestablish the location, and then carefully mark the tip of the tick stick. There's a mark, number 1. Here's a mark, number 2. But the comment, the solid gold comment was, you're building in inaccuracy when you try to imagine and project the tip of the tick stick onto those dots. His solution, and I think he's right, is, let's get on number 4 here and demonstrate this. It's so perfect. He said, simply take a sharp pencil, outline the tick stick to where you drop off the end, and where the pencil mark goes from straight to random is the point. And he's right. So thank you for that. I don't know who you are. I don't know who any of you commenters are. But thank you for your interest. Thank you for bringing your experience to the table. Thank you for correcting me when I need it. And thank you for forbearing just long enough to get a global picture of what I'm trying to communicate. Bring that into your world and make sure that your comment is not premature. Thanks for watching Essential Craftsman, and keep up the good work.